Alright, so I am going to show you a little bit about queries and how to analyze queries and indexes. So I've already written a query that is fairly complex in that it joins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables and has a joint criteria looking for two status names, reduced or denied. I've already run the query, so you can see the results down below. Okay. So one of the things I want to show you is you can also do more than just run the query. You can, with this, it says explain or analyze. This one just explains. This one explains and analyzes. There's also a little drop-down list that gives you the things that can be in there. So I'm going to make it verbose. I'm going to add the costs and I'm going to add the timing. So when I click on this, it will run the query and it will give me a graphic description of what's going on in the process. So like it begins on person. And notice if I highlight over person, it gives me an output of all the stats related to that node. Same here, if I can get it right, it'll give me the same thing, stats for all of those different things. You can use this diagram to determine what has happened at each stage and where it's slowing down, if at all. There's another output. If we look at data output, there's a query plan, and you just see that it's JSON. And if you mouse over it, you'll begin to see the beginning of the file. If I double click right here, it gives me a thing where I can scroll through it all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it and just do a Control-C and do OK. And what I'll do is I'll bring up a notepad and I'll paste it in there so you can see what the output looks like. So I'm going to paste it. And you can see from the beginning it's a JSON, fairly complex JSON file that gives you all the different stats and all of the different elements for each node. So this is all of the stats that go with each node all together in a single file. This can be really useful when you're troubleshooting a query that's taking way too long. Alright, so I want to show a couple of other aspects of this. One of the things that you can do to try to speed up a query is to add indexes. And I will say that with this query, probably no index will ever show up down below because there isn't enough data to justify it. I do know, though, that for the assignment, some of the index, at least one of the indexes will show up in the query results. So I am going to create an index. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an index on status. So I'm going to create it on status, status name. So when you create an index, you basically just say create index. You say what table you're going to create it on, and then what field or fields in the table you're going to create it on. So if I create that index, what is the name of the field? Grant status. Well, actually, there is status. What is the name of? Status exists. Why does it not like that? Oh, status name. Typing is not my formula. So I create that index. And then I could run this again. I have to select it. I have to select what I'm running on. I could select it again, and we could look at that and see if that index is used anywhere. Here's grant status, public status. And if we look, I do not see that index being used anywhere. That is as I would expect. Another place that might be good is like person key. So I'm going to create index on, and I think I'm going to do it on grant application, but I'm going to do it on person key. The thing with indexes is that they're kind of an art, trying to find where an index will be of use. So again, I have to select what I want to map, and we can look at this and see, does that, there's person, does the inner join, does a join over here, but I do not see anywhere where it actually uses my index. One of the things you can do is you can look at the statistics as you go, and you can look at the time. So let's look at that, and you can see if things speed up or slow down at all. So when we look at it, it took, total time was like 1/100th of a second, so it's not taking a lot. I'm going to do just one more. As I said, when you do this with the assignment, you will find that at least one of the indexes does affect the outcome. I'm going to do it on, what would be useful, grant type key. So we'll do it on, not on grant type, but on grant application, grant type key. And see if that makes any difference. Again, I don't think it will, but this gives you sort of the gist of how to do this. So I'll execute that to create the index. And then I will run this again. Oh, I don't know what that did, so let's go up here and let's do explain again. And again, I don't think the index is in here, but a couple of other things about indexes. So we now have a couple of indexes on grant application. If you look under indexes, you'll see that they're here. More than what we said, because there is an index on the grant type key that's built automatically. There's a second index on the grant type key that has a 1 after it, because they have to have unique names. Person key, and then a second one on the person key. There is an index on the person key because it's also a foreign key. So my indexes are probably irrelevant. But indexes can help speed up queries. So an index is basically a tree, a balanced tree that allows it to search through records much faster than it can by just going through the records one after another. Alright, I think I attached a document for this too, and it gives you more information. So I'm going to let that be the end of the video. So we'll stop.